Hello, hello. Good morning. Sound check. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? All right. So, Blue is in the house. Hello, hello. Denixen, Prisma, Jamal, Crypto Dude, De Los Andes, Satoshi, Denis Navadola. I didn't say that right, I think. Senate NFTs, of course. Guys, today I'm going to talk a little bit about FENIX. And FENIX is an ecosystem project completely based on first principles, founded by Joe Blau and Johad Ellis. And FENIX fits very well in something we could call ZenFi. And the definition of ZenFi would be decentralized finance based on first principles. And the theory behind that is building with ZenFi or first principles is a competitive advantage. So we now have Zen, and we're on a mission to give it to the masses and adoption. And a crucial part of that is to give it utility. And one of the things that is needed in this world is protocols based on first principles if we want to live in a world where we can move freely with our economic energy without risking hacks and keep our custody, etc. So this is something we learned from all of our experiences with traditional systems and everything that has failed in crypto so far, and applying so-called zero-based thinking, which is knowing what we now know, how would we do it differently? So that is the question we must ask ourselves when we build stuff. So a lot of protocols have been built with crypto today already, and most haven't lived up to our expectations. Most have failed because of bad fundamental design. So we can't just keep creating protocols in the same way we have before and keep repeating the same mistakes. We have to, because the mistakes always have the same common reoccurring theme of lack of transparency, centralization, custody, censorship, etc. We are getting a lot of interest to build with Zen, and it's really an explosive demand of curiosity and activity, and we're very happy about that. And we want a lot of activity of Zen, of course. We need it. We want to build this flourishing DeFi ecosystem, but we also want them to have an impact and to solve a problem and to provide real value to the community and to the world. They not only need to be great, they need to be the best. So for us to live in a world where we can utilize this technology to the fullest extent and accelerate self-sovereignty, because that is the promise of blockchain, the potential of crypto, removing middlemen and having self-custody. So we are, of course, getting a lot of questions from developers asking us if this looks good or not. So I think we can learn a lot what makes a protocol good and what probably would make it sustain with time, and apply that by following a certain framework. And I will show you a framework that I use with FENIX today, because I think FENIX is a very good use case for other builders as well. And this framework that I use, this is how I think, and like an initial framework that I use to evaluate protocols. And FENIX is a very good example of a protocol, at least in theory, that has a very good design, and also in that's also presented in a very good, clear, and concise way, which is also very important. It's a very sophisticated protocol, but very clean at the same time. Very, very simple. Less is more, as nature does it. So I'm gonna give my rundown of the protocol, and I might be wrong in what I say. I haven't double checked this with Joe and Johad, so this will be fun if I'm wrong in anything. But that's just how it is. Then we learn by our mistakes. So this is my first deep dive into FENIX, and I will give it a go, and then we can bring on Joe next time so he can teach us for real. So let's dive right in, guys. Let me increase my screen. There we go. So FENIX pays you to hold your own crypto, and all the information I'm basing this analysis on is from their GitHub, which you can find here. You can just screenshot it. And also from my conversations with Joe and Johad. But we're first going to talk about like what kind of framework am I looking in my analysis of FENIX today, because like in order to understand FENIX, we have to use some kind of framework, and this framework gives me the basic understanding of what a protocol really is and what it does. So first, just to specify clearly, like what is it? What is FENIX, and what problem is it trying to solve? That's the first two things I want to find out. And number three, what is the desired behavior to get the max out of the token? Then I want to know who's behind it, who are the founders, and how does this relate to first principles? And then I want to talk about something I call innovation Lego, which is my favorite part, of course, since I love Lego, but it's actually very important. And then, of course, you have tokenomics. So anything that has to do with the incentive flows and the mechanics, so to speak, inflation, supply, distribution, and so on, and schematics. I'm a visual learner myself, so I like to draw things up to see the visual connections between things. You might have noticed. And then from a user perspective, because we go down deep in the levels and in the blouse of these protocols to really understand everything, but a user shouldn't have to do that. A user should just use the protocol, and for them it needs to be super simple. So we'll talk about that too. And then, of course, deployment of FENIX, how that will look like, and the community aspect. So I'm pretty much going to go through these in this order, but probably mix them up a little bit. But just so you know, like in my point of view, because the thing is, I see so many people judge protocols based on like foregone conclusions, applying like zero framework in their analysis, based on what someone has said, like he said this, so I thought that, and or just pure attention to price. And the problem, like with price, if you only focus on price, you leave your flank open to attack, and you let yourself become someone else's tool. And when you only focus on price, anyone can satisfy that need. Come in here, get your yield, give up your rights doing so. It doesn't need to be this trade-off. We can build differently. So what we need to do is create a very good understanding and clarity and awareness of what we're really interacting with in the first place. And this is not only true as builders, but also investors and participants in these protocols. So how can we make sure that when we make protocols that they are the best? We need to understand them, of course. That's the first step. And how do we understand the protocols we're interacting with, and learn to see it for what it really is? Like, how do we see it? How do we see the protocol clearly? We have to ask questions, and all questions stem from these words: what, why, how, who, when, where. You can break down all of these questions in different fractals, but when you ask questions, it triggers your creativity, and it makes your mind search for answers. So we need to break things down, and this is what we did with Zen as well. We released it, and then we tried to answer all of these questions, and then start that interaction with the community to find out like how can we communicate this in a way so everyone can see the system for what it really is, without any hype marketing or anything like that. So we ask questions, and basically this is the framework. So let's dive right in and let's have some fun and try to break FENIX apart. So the first thing we do is we ask ourselves, what is FENIX? Let me do this. Oh, that's okay. I hope you can see this. So we ask ourselves, what is FENIX? So FENIX is designed to reward the crypto community members who believe in the crypto first principles. It's a way for you to earn trustless yield with your crypto while holding your private keys. It's a blockchain certificate of deposit. So a certificate of deposit it's having a fixed amount for a fixed amount of time, sort of locked up or deposited in exchange for a yield. So that's just like the financial terminology, an explanation of what it is. So you burn your Zen in exchange for FENIX at a rate of 10,000 Zen for one FENIX, and then you stake it and you reward yourself by earning yield on your stake. Yield comes from the inflation of the token and from penalties paid by stakers who decide to end their stakes before or after the stake end date. So we'll go through exactly what that means. So it's sort of, you can think of it like a pension fund where you control your own keys. And a key difference from Zen right away is it's a protocol that functions if you want a longer duration of a mint. So you can actually forgot to put this here, but you can I think it's 50 years or something like that. That's the max stake. So it's something that works short term, but also for very long term. So the token standard is a ERC20. The supply is uncapped. The inflation is 3.14%. The supply distribution is with a share rate system and users' choice of delayed gratification. The supply starts at 0, the price starts at 0, and the lines of code is just 186. So it's a very slim, very nice, but very sophisticated and very powerful program. So I like this. When you manage to make something very powerful with short amount of lines of code. And this is important, guys. Like, what I want to know right away, like, what is the desired behavior in the design that I have to do to get the max out of this token? Like, what is the game theory telling us? And with FENIX, it's to burn as much Zen as possible to get as much FENIX as possible, and then to stake for as long as possible, and then to end your stake exactly. So we're gonna get back to this later, but this is sort of like before you go into like yields and tokenomics and stuff like that. I like when I can just get like a short, this is what it is. And this, again, might not be the best way to explain it, but that's how my brain works. And this is one iteration out of many. You remember how many iterations we did with Zen. So it's a good foundation. Moving on. So why FENIX? What problem is it trying to solve? So I want to know, like, what is it? And the why just went away. Why? Here we go. I want to know, like, what is it, and what are you doing here? What are you trying to solve? Let's just read it. I think it's most efficient. Like, since the birth of Bitcoin in 2019, counterparties have convinced investors to give their resources in exchange for the promise of secured funds and yield. Yes, time and time again, we've seen these centralized counterparties fail. Failure models includes hack, over-leverage, insider trading, poor accounting, fraud, and opaque communication. Crypto was invented to get rid of the middlemen and remove counterparty risk. The FENIX protocol uses open source code on public blockchains to provide hyperstructure that rewards crypto stakers for delayed gratification. So this is what we want to see. Hyperstructure is something that actually Joe introduced me to. That is, I forgot the name of the guy, but you should Google it. It's someone has that defined what a hyperstructure is, but it's very closely aligned with first principles concept. It's based on the same principles. It's just same thing, different name. But it's pretty cool. It has pretty cool sites, so I think you should watch it. The vision, the FENIX is designed to reward crypto community members who believe in crypto first principles of self-custody, transparency, trust to consensus, and permissionless value exchange without counterparty risk, right? So this is what's been defined in the ZEN protocol as being the first principles of crypto, which we didn't invent or Jack didn't invent, but it's something that was more or less defined with Bitcoin and by Timothy May in the Crypto Anarchist Manifesto back in '88, sort of like, but something that was put into something into a system which we could deal with the first time when it came to Bitcoin, right? He solved the double spend problem, how we can transfer value from A to B. Anyway, so FENIX value is derived from the skills of the community members who have the freedom to assemble and create value for FENIX. Since no one party will own an outsized amount of the initial supply, it encourages the entire community to cooperate and coordinate. The FENIX token is minted from the ashes of burned ZEN. And ZEN is the fastest growing cross-chain protocol with a vision of onboarding 100 million users into crypto as a start. So they should add that there as a start. So when I see this to me is someone who's clearly understanding where we're coming from as an industry and where we want to go and how FENIX fits into that narrative. Like, this is a good description of a why to me. And like that's the fluffy like vision, but why it exists to me is also that it gives a user an opportunity to earn trustless yield based on first principles. So it fills that function. That's also sort of why to me. And another why to me is that it contributes to this first principles DeFi ecosystem, the ZenFi, which we have an opportunity to really build, which I'm incredibly excited about. Bang bang Soonicorn from Ice in the chat. Bang bang Soonicorn. So that's the why. We have the what and the why. And now let's talk about these guys, the founders. So Joe Blau is the developer, the programmer behind it, and Johad Ellis is the design product marketing, and they know each other from working at Uber self-driving before. So Johad has made this amazing all the illustrations. I'm going to show some later as well, and these are real seniors, guys. Joe, especially, that I know, have a very good knowledge of how Zen works at the code level, and have optimized FENIX based on that. You can see that his understanding of Zen is profound. So his story is he came into Zen about a week before launch, a little less, and he realized right away that this clicked in his head. It reminded him of what he's seen before with hyperstructure and his experience. So what he did was he quickly developed Zen.fyi, which is an alternative interface for minting Zen, and it's amazing. And here we can see we are already at 265 million global ranks, global rank. So the fact that he knows the Zen code and have already interacted with it and played with it and also made it available through his interface on all of these chains is something that also carries a lot of weight, I think, this evaluation. So very interesting. Now let's talk about first principles. So let's do it. Before we even go into the mechanics and the tokenomics and all of that, it's always good to just do a check, like what kind of principles is this protocol based upon. So if we take Zen Crypto as a reference, because you all know it, we have self-custody, of course. The code is immutable, permissionless, anyone, anywhere, anytime can interact with it, very decentralized, super transparent, trustless system to interact with, instant finality. So I have this here because sometimes it's not only about protocols. You want to measure with other kinds of systems as well. So if you want to compare legacy systems, which it's when we're in crypto so long, it's pretty crazy that you have like days of settlement sometimes. But anyway, and this also illustrates it's not like black and white. It's always a scale, but the same with peer-to-peer and central authority in transactions, of course. Censorship resistance, I would say that Zen Crypto has a very good potential of being very hard to censor, in the way that if you try to censor it on one chain, we have 900 chains they can live on. So you'd have to censor like 10 different decentralized blockchains in order to get rid of Zen. You have an immutable inflation schedule, of course. We did a very fair launch, and it's very simple. It's only 400 lines of code. It's not complex. It's not layers and layers and layers of code. So then we look at FENIX, who are claiming, they're making these claims here, guys. They're saying it's simple, which I agree with that it is, from two different aspects. Number one, the code is only 186 lines of code. They've minimized everything, and it's the same thing that we did with Zen, in the way that you have not endless of, you don't have infinite of possibilities. You want to remove as much of that as possible, but still make it functional and fair. So with the staking, for instance, it's a pretty simple function with a few lines of code, but it does so much. It doesn't do endless stuff, but it does enough. And then on top of that, we can build stuff, of course. So the code is simple. And what else is simple? The user, the management of it. We're going to go through that later. But anyway, no backdoors. User mint their own equity, right? So it's the same with Zen. You're creating your own value. There's no investor allocation, no team allocation. They do a fair launch, no pre-mine, no origin address, no maximum cap, proof of weight, immutable, no admin keys, starts at zero supply, no management team, hyperstructure, no sacrifice, and no initial coin offering. So just by the look of it, we can see that it's very much aligned with first principles. So what do you say, guys? I think we're gonna move them over here without any doubt. I can't see any reason why they wouldn't live up to first principles 100% based on what I know so far. So guys, realize that just after this, we just took a few minutes to nail down. We used this sort of framework. We defined a little bit what it is, why it's there, and how FENIX fits in. Who are the guys behind it, and first principles. So it gives us a good overview to know what we're interacting with in the first place. And I think it's a good intro to look at these things when you try to analyze something. And by the way, while we're talking about it, because it's hot topic now in the Xenium community, if we think of X1, for instance, we've been very much deep into first principles protocols, and it's very easy to make a protocol first principles in relation to a complex system. So with X1, for instance, some people were like, oh shit, you're going to have admin keys for it. Do you really need that for an L1? Well, yes. everyone has it to some extent, and it totally depends on what kind of system you are doing. If it's a protocol or if it's some infrastructure, and the complexity of the system, the dependency for upgrades, the management, etc. So all of this is, of course, you have to understand what kind of system you are analyzing. The same thing with centralization versus decentralization. Like X1 will be super centralized, of course, so it can be developed and managed to make sure that it's going to work. So it will be a centrally controlled chain that once we scale up the ecosystem, it will eventually open up the proof of stake validators to a reasonable number. So it's decentralized to the extent that it needs to be. So we have to take that into account, and also separate between tech and economic energy, like tech infrastructure and economic energy, and so on. But like whatever the system you are going to interact with, the very first step, no matter what it is to have an awareness of what it is you're going to be interacting with, to see the system for what it really is. So you can still like, so that's point number one. Point number two is you can still, as a creator, I think, earn a living or get funded for your creation somehow. Of course, creators should be rewarded. You can still live up to first principle as well, as long as you are transparent with it. That's my opinion. The fact, however, that Joe and Johad have removed themselves from the protocol, like we did with Zen, shows that number one, they go for hero status, in my opinion. And it's also important to know that when we are interacting with their system, we can care less about who Joe and Johad is when we factor in our interactions with the protocol. It's not an unnecessary uncertainty here, because they'll probably have some admin key or some kind of access to the interface, to the website. But in case that goes down, the contract is open source, so we can still reach it anyway. So it's that, and the fact that they won't control a majority of the liquidity of the supply because it's decentralized. So what does that mean? It means that it also reduces the risk for us to become like purse experts by accident. Anyway, so yeah, already now we have a pretty good picture where we go. Let's talk about innovation Lego. So what think about it, like what is an innovation? An innovation is very seldom something that just you invent out of nothing. You take something that is and something that is as well, and you're the first one to put them together in the first place, and that itself creates something very unique. So when I talk about innovation Lego, like Joe didn't like just come up of this out of nowhere. Usually when you create, especially a crypto protocol, it's you take the inspiration and you take something that already exists in one microcosmos and works very well there, and then you mix it with something here and something here, and then you put all of these things together, and then that is the innovation. And the excitement of that then is that you have something new here, that these multiplicator effects, like how these different things will cocktail together, will be very exciting to follow how that works. But before we analyze this, let's break these things apart and understand, like, where are they coming from with this? Like, why did they create FENIX? Let me see if I can make it bigger. So let's start here. And this is what I like to see. They made acknowledgement. So they made acknowledgement to Bitcoin, censorship resistance, zero counterparty risk, store value transfer. So that's like the base layer where they're coming from. And we can also relate the first principles to Zen crypto, of course, which is how I like to see it, the amplification of these first principles and the scaling of it and the cross-chainability of it, so to speak. So we have inspiration from there, and also the fact that it's very close related to Zen, of course. So that also, but mainly because it's like the first principles that's they're aligned with in their values of building this. And then we have Seranium, which was basically first in creating like these certificate of deposits, which we talked about, time deposits, delayed gratification, trustless yield, start and end stake, cross-chain value exchange, being on 5 different chains, bonuses, burn versus mint, etc. So you have all of those aspects. And also from Hex, you have the share rate ratcheting that increases the cost basis for late stakers. So an incentive for early participants, early participation and no delay. Also this combined with bonuses, which then encourage bigger stakes and longer time periods. So that's also a source of like inspiration. Another innovation Lego piece that's very interesting. And then they add Uniswap V2, like equity-based liquidity pools. So, you know, instead of a ledger that keeps track of everyday stakes and end stakes and the supply that gets put in, you now have a dynamic pool, and you're just getting your ratio of how much your pool is going to earn. And at the end stake, you get 100% of pi in their case of the pool, and when you start, you get 0% of the pi of the pool. So, you know, the Uniswap concept here is a replacement for the daily interest payout thing in Hex. That's very interesting. We gotta talk about that later. But it's just like so much technology. Here we go. It's so much interesting to see, like, if you understand this, your understanding of the protocol increases, I think. So it's like, this to me is beautiful because it's like the next iteration protocol. My curiosity is very high for this, to see like, what happens if we put all of these stuff together. Like, I'm super excited to see what can happen of something like that. So then what they did, they took all of these stuff and then made their own cocktail, like their abstraction or extraction or whatever it's called, into their own value system, like their principles. So for FENIX, it's equity, time in market, and penalty redistribution. So how I like decrypt what they write in their light paper, equity is for the equal distribution and equal opportunity, trustlessness, transparency. Time in market is delayed gratification, long-term horizon, sustainability, compounding, proof of weight, and penalty redistribution is incentivize good and desired behavior, proof of participation through proof of precision. This is something I added because I don't think it's a proof of weight. I think it's a proof of precision. I told this to Jo Blau. We'll talk about it later. But whatever. Integrity and fairness. So in their own word, like equity, fair launch, no origin address, time in market, rewarding healthy long-term investing, even for multi-generational wealth, penalty redistribution. All penalties go to stakers, period. So that's interesting. And here's Johad, who's really good at this, the graphics. So it's pretty cool. So again, guys, we still haven't talked about yield or anything like that, but a picture is starting to paint here. But now let's go into the user experience. So here's how it looks like, basically. This is what you do in order to participate in this protocol. So what you have to do, you have to have Zen in order to participate in this protocol. So this is a big gift to Xenians that the guys have made. And so how it works is that you start with Zen. You got to get Zen, of course. You burn it and get FENIX. So then you have FENIX. And then you stake it, and you choose how long you want to stake. But there's basically 3 outcomes of this. You can either end your stake. So you are going to end it at some point, but you can either end it when it's supposed to be ended, and there's no penalty. You can either end it early, and then there will be a penalty. You can either end it late, and there will be a penalty. So there's 3 different like basic outcomes. Don't think of like this deferred and no penalty for now. Just disregard it. It's a pretty cool like extra feature, I would say, but don't focus on it at first. So there's 3 outcomes. You can either, this is proof of precision. You can either end it when you're supposed to, or you can be early, or you can be late, and that's when you mint. So it's sort of like Zen, right? You start, and then you choose a time, and then a mint happens. So that's the like delayed gratification, proof of weight, proof of precision, all in one. But that's basically it. Another way how I like to see it is basically like these steps, right? So you get, this is what you have to do. You have to get Zen, you have to burn Zen, and in doing so, you get FENIX. And then you choose to stake the stake term and stake it, and then you end your stake. And this can be further like just so you can take all of these and put them here. So you get FENIX by burning Zen, and then you start your stake and choose your time, and then you end your stake. So it depends on how you want to see it. Some people prefer to see it like this, and some very explanatory, and some like this. So this is very cool, guys, because these guys are geniuses because they managed to illustrate this in one graphic, exactly how it works. And it's pretty cool. So I'm going to explain this now to the best of my ability. I haven't explained it so many times, but let's see how it goes. So you basically start here. You start here and start your stake, and then you end your stake some time along this, sometime in the future, of course. And this is where you chosen. This is where you chosen your time, and that's like 100%. So what you do is you get FENIX by burning Zen. You choose your stake term, and then you stake it. And if you end your stake when you said you would, you will get 100% of the formula that's calculating your stake. If you end your stake before, so this is different from Zen, because with Zen you cannot do this before. I mean, with your stake you can, but not with your mint. So they call this a stake, but it's sort of like a mint as well. But I don't want to confuse you. If you end your stake here, you will get penalty, and if you end your stake here, you will also get a penalty. How much penalty you will get, you can see in this chart. So you can see it goes all the way to the top here, right? So if you end it there when you said you would, there will be 0 penalty. So let's move them in here so you guys can see like how to view it. I have to admit, even when I saw it the first time, I was like, what am I looking at here? But then when you see it, it's very easy. It's always like that. When you see it, it's very easy. I want to see it. So let's say I start my stake here, and then I end it here. I said I was going to end it here. That's what I chose, but I end it here. What happens? I will keep this much %, and the rest will go to penalty. So that introduces something here, which is a profit line, which means that at the profit line, if it's here's where it like cuts into it, and that's 71%. So what does that mean? That means that you at the profit line, that's when you basically get your principal back, if that makes sense. So look at it like this. You are converting Zen into FENIX, okay, with a fixed rate. And then you take your FENIX and you're telling this protocol, do something with it, make it grow. And the FENIX is going to think like, okay, I'm going to use my formula, but I'm going to start here at 0, and then I'm going to move up according to the shape. But it's starting down here. So if you end it all the way here, way before you said you were going to do it, you're going to get a big penalty. So it's really, as you can see, aligned with delayed gratification and like proof of participation, as we call it, proof of weight. So, and we're going to talk about why these curves are sloping differently, etc. But just to get a rough, give me feedback on that explanation, guys. I see it, I understand it, but it's the first time I explain it, so I don't know if that makes sense. So what we know is how it works for a user, and we know how much. Jesus, I've misspelled so hard. Sorry, guys. We know how much. What we want to know is how much yield we can get per time. You know what I mean. And we also need to know, how is this calculated? Jesus, everything is spelled wrong. Sorry, guys. Calculated. What happens? So we want to know, how is that yield calculated? We want to know what happens if I don't do what I'm supposed to do. What happens then? And how does my involvement are in relation? Yeah, I'm just going to keep it like that. Like, my involvement in the protocol, what is the relation of that in the aspect of other participants as well? How does my involvement are in relation to other participants? That's what I want to know. God damn it. How old are you? Come from where? Anyway, we know what we know, but there are a lot of unknowns. YouTube that, unknown unknowns with the Donald Rumsfeld. Johari window. So let's go through the maths. Let's go through the numbers now. And here's the thing. Like, this is from a user perspective. Like, that's all you basically need to know if you just want to participate in the protocol. What I'm going to go through next is just like degenuity, and you want to understand all the formulas and how it actually works. But the way they designed it, all of that is yield optimization underneath. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to like call your router guy who knows math and like, can you check this, that it works out? Can I trust these protocol guys? But as a user, you just basically have to click a few clicks of the button to participate, and just get your FENIX burn send, start stake, choose time, and stake. That's it. But now let's go into the levels of stuff. Of course, this is what you need to know as well. So what they have in the immutable code is fixed Zen to FENIX ratio. So these things show actually the same thing. It just depends on how you like to see it, but it shows exactly the same thing. So the burn ratios, 10,000 Zen gives you 1 FENIX. And this is the formula, like FENIX equals Zen divided by 10,000. So you have 10,000 FENIX and you get, you have 10,000 Zen, and for that you burn it and you get 1 FENIX. So that's a fixed conversion rate that always will be there. And now we're going to talk about inflation. So I've tried to like start off something here in that FENIX has a fixed rate of inflation that is generated by stakers and paid to stakers. So the supply of FENIX is uncapped. Outside of the 2 bonus events and the fixed inflation, there are no other ways to produce FENIX. So you can forget about that bonus part for now. FENIX inflation rate approximates pi. So it's funny because yesterday when we talked about staking NFTs, right, we talked about Fibonacci and prime numbers. And here we have another number that's usually often occurring in nature, and it's pi. So a lot of like, if you weren't a nerd on Monday, you're going to be on Sunday. So the inflation rate baked into the protocol is 3.14%. So the way I want you to see this visually, because we're going to go further with this, is think of the supply as a pool. Like the whole total supply is this. And after 1 year, that pool has increased by 3.14%. So like that's baked into the total supply. It's built in to grow with this inflation rate. So let's do a very easy example of this. Like if you have 100 FENIX and you choose 1 year as your stake term, after 1 year, you then end your stake, and you end so in time as well. That means you're going to get 103.14% FENIX. So this explains 1% supply growing with inflation. Just for you to like get that image that the supply is constantly growing. Now we ask ourselves, how does this work when we have more people participating and we want to incentivize good behavior? So we have FENIXen. I don't know if this is, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the word for FENIXens? We have Senians and FENIXens. Anyway, I hope I'm not saying wrong. So in this use case, we have 3 FENIXens, and they all participate with 100 FENIX each. So that makes we have FENIX 1, 2, and 3. So their equal part is 100 FENIX. And the total, of course, of this pool is then 300, right? So they all choose 1 year stake term, and they start the stake at day 1, and they end the stake, and they do it successfully at day 365. So then the calculation basically looks like this. And what this and this is just like a simplified version. So what I want to show here is I just want to show you that there is a pool. Participants have a share of this pool, and it's growing with inflation. And it assumes that everyone is a good boy with good boy pants and ends their stake when they set it. But now we want to take this further, and we want to take this in relation to reaching the desired behavior. So we add a time and a size bonus, and these are amplifiers for good behavior. And they are then used to calculate your share of the pool as well. So your share of the pool is important because the shares represents your equity in the pool. So what I want you to see here is that you're not denominating this in FENIX. You're denominating your part of the pool as shares. So that's how that aspect comes in. So now let's talk about shares and bonuses. And this is my favorite part. So here's the thing: if you participate in this process, I would like to say there's like amplifiers of your share, and your share is calculated at the start. So you already know what your share is going to be. So the stake start, we're going to talk about 2 things here: stake start and stake end. So the stake start uses time and size bonus functions to calculate your equity stake in the pool, so your shares. And how does this work? This is a calculation for calculating how many shares you get. Screen not clear. Is this good, guys? It's a bit small. I just want you to see the overview. So this is like a set of calculations that will calculate your shares. So we're going to begin here, they do it in Arab countries. They begin from the right. So let's do an example. We have 100 FENIX, and what we want to create first is the sigma. So that's what they call the staking size bonus. So the staking size bonus is the amplification of a base stake bonus. Is 10% of the base rate. So that means that whatever FENIX you have, you are multiplying that with 10%, and then you get your sigma. So if I have 10, I get a sigma number of, sorry, if I have 100, I get a sigma number of 10. Okay. It's a little bit confusing. I'm just explaining these, and then I show you how they function together. The next calculation is the staking time bonus. So this incentivizes you to get as much as possible, because you get an amplifier on the size. And the staking time bonus is an amplification of the length. So with this one, you get a bonus compounding of 20%. So the duration of the stake term is uncapped, but there are penalties for ending early and ending late. Yeah. So we take our 100 FENIX that we started the stake with, and then we add 20% to that number. So in this case, let's say that the time is 365 days, because you take the term, then it will be 120. So that's how to calculate the tau, the staking time bonus. So we have the size bonus and we have the time bonus. Now the staking total bonus, that is the sum of these two. So we take the time and size bonus together, and then we get the beta. So it's just, we had 10 right and 120. So now we have 130. So we have all of these. It's simple math, it's simple formula for each one, and then we can calculate our shares. So the shares is the beta divided by the share rate. And so your shares are your total bonus divided by your share rate, and the shares represents your equity in the staking pool. So year one, the share rate is 1, and year 2, it's 3.14, etc., etc. So we take then 130 divided by 1, because it's year 1, and we get 130. So this is your share of the pool. So that's how you calculate it. Now, and like we now know, we now know how big your share is going to be. What we don't know is how big your share is in relation to everyone else's. But here's the crutch, I think, and it's that it doesn't matter, because everyone is following the same formula. And this is the reason that the heavy computation is not required, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty smart, like the way they added these things together, I think. What we're going to do now is, so here, and this is calculated at the start. So what do you know when you start? You know your FENIX, right? You know how much FENIX you're going to go in with, and that you get from the burn of Zen. And then you calculate this, so you have all your shares, and that, so you know from the start how much you will have at the end. But that's just if you're a good boy with good boy pants. What happens if you decide to end your stake before or after? So we need a calculation for the stake end as well, because, and this is also what's very beautiful, like ending your stake exists along two continuous functions. Two continuous functions. One function increases the percent of your stake before your target date, and the other decreases the percent of your stake before the target date, right? So you can see here that this is exponential. So that's why this curve is exponential, right? So we begin with this one. End early, epsilon. Ending a stake prematurely results in a penalty to the stake term. The longer the duration of a term is completed, the lower the penalty that is applied to that term. Lower penalties result in higher rewards. So we know that, here's how it works. You know your stake here from the stake start, and it will be what it will be if it's good behavior. However, if you end it before, then this formula will kick in and then calculate what your share is going to be. And at the same time here, so you can see here, it's exponential. So we need to go, if we choose 100 days, this profit line is going to be at 71 days. That's how it works. So, however, now we are late, and this is not valid anymore. We need another formula to calculate how much penalty we're going to get if we are late instead. So then we use this end late lambda formula. So ending a stake that is overdue results in penalties. The stake is penalized for 180 days until nothing is left. The penalty, looked at the wrong string. The penalty function is graceful and does not redistribute over 50% of your stake until day 183. So it's not very like jealousy girlfriend that Zen protocol is, with your mints, with this heavy duty fines or penalties if you're late. Even after 7 days, you're down to 1%. This is a graceful curve. It's like, it's okay that you're late. It doesn't worry me so much. I'm not gonna penalize you so much until you get here, and then you have this, and it's gone. So, like here, it increases the amount of date, and this is what they mean with the penalty function is graceful and does not redistribute over 50% until day 153. So here you're losing 50%. So details, guys. But what's beautiful with this is I'm just very impressed that they managed to do something so beautiful and use these two formulas. And you can see here, like all that is light, like dark yellow and dark pink. That is what you keep, and the penalties are up here. That's that area. So you read it like, where am I on time? Like, I'm here. Okay, that's how much you're gonna get. I'm on this side, so this formula is gonna be used. You don't have to. It's not like the protocol is gonna ask you like, hey, you want your money? Solve this formula. The protocol does this under the hood, of course, but we need to look under the hood now and see how it works. So we talked about how is the formula. Like, let's just do a small recap, right? So we know we have a pool, and this pool is increasing by 3.14%. Naturally, it's just like growth, and we know that we are sharing this pool with others, and for that we get something called a share. But this share is calculated initially from the start, and we want to incentivize good behavior and good activity. So we are incentivizing both in terms of size and bonus, so we can amplify our share rate. And then the question is, okay, you got your share, but how much of it are you going to keep? Are you going to be a good boy, or are we going to have to penalize you, baby? And then we have formulas to calculate how much of that you're going to keep. So I hope I understood it right. Increasing by 3.14% per year, correct? Yeah, so the inflation is 3.14%, so it's constantly gonna increase. Yeah, but then it's compounding, right? So we should cover, like, for those who are new to compounding, what that means, because if you have something very small that's constantly increasing, it has a huge effect for the long term, and especially when it comes to like pension products and stuff like that. If your bank, they do this. I used to compare I used to work in a bank a long time ago, and I used to compare financial products between banks, and then you saw that the bigger banks, they're the biggest crooks, because then I realized that the only reason they are big is because people don't know how bad they are, so they stay with them. They think they're big and safe and stuff, but they're crooks. So what I learned is that yeah, I forgot what I learned. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, pensions. So I was comparing financial products and also pensions from different products and different banks. So you could see that if you just take these small fees, but if it's a product that stretches over a long duration, that adds to a huge amount at the end. So if you have the wrong product with your pensions, you're it's like several hundreds of percent that it can vary in like 30 years. So for a product like this, like as an insurer, like a pension product, a pension fund for long, like say for your college fund for the kids or whatever, stuff like that, this is amazing, a product like this, because it's no fees, like it's just going to grow with time. So, and it incentivizes you to be early. So anyway, I'm just very happy to be in DeFi for that reason, that we can make these clean, nice products without any 186 lines of code. Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, so the penalties. What happens with the penalties? Who gets the penalties? Is it Joe Blau? Here we go. So the penalties works like this. Ending a stake distributes the tokens into an owner's address while redistributing any penalties to the staking pool. This function can only be triggered by the owner of the wallet. So you end your stake, and the FENIX you get at the end will go to your wallet. And if there are any penalties, they go to a penalty, they go to the staking pool where everybody's swimming around. So that's it, period. It doesn't go anywhere else. So it doesn't go to the way anything, period. It just goes straight to the pool back. So all the penalties that everybody is neglecting go back to the pool. Only the good boys get 100% of and girls what they wanted, what they should have. So this means that in conclusion, the share that everyone gets at the end is depends on how much Zen was burned for FENIX in the first place, how much FENIX that is, so the size, the staking time you choose, and how early you as a user are in the protocol, because there's that's next lesson of FENIX. The earlier you are, I think Joe could explain this a lot better than me, so I'm not going to even do it. How early the user is, how precise the user is with ending the stake, the proof of precision. So if we think about the first step, when we talked about what it is, like this leads to the desired behavior. We can say this in conclusion, like what you need to do to get max FENIX is burn as much Zen as possible to get as much FENIX as possible, stake that for as long as possible, and end your stake exactly. So we can summarize that, like all this complexity with the formulas and everything. If you want to game this protocol, that's how you do it. It's as simple as that. So I think it's important when you make like base protocols like this that they are functional. You see it with Zen, it's super simple, and then we are using like with Next, it gets a little bit more complicated and stuff like that. But FENIX is a very nice, clean, easy, simple, powerful, sophisticated, but clean protocol. One thing to point out here, though, is like your relationship to like this is a dynamic in it, which is like very personal. It's the same with Zen. Like you're dealing something with time, and you can't, like, I wouldn't choose 50 years. Like that's something we should talk a lot about, like more the philosophy of it, like what's the best game theory to do all of this and stuff like that. Actually, I also want to mention something when it comes to that. Here, like there's a point, like you have to realize that because we're doing so many things. So I wanted to bring this up. Systems, like we are interacting with systems and protocols, and it can get very complex. But at the core, what we are always doing, like the fundamentals or the core components of what we are doing, is that you have a user, you have yourself, you have economic energy, and you're interacting with the system in time. That's like the core of everything. And I want you to like think about it this way. Like you have your economic energy, and with time you are going to interact with this system. So this is why we got to see the system for what it is, because you want to optimize that economic energy for your life, for yourself. I just want you to like have that in mind, because protocols, and especially now, because we created Zen, and we talked about Zen being this horizontal scaling protocol, and it's being the peer-to-peer cash, and then we're creating these verticals. So we have the diamonds with these unicorns that fits that segments who want that. All don't like to have something that's rare to 1 to 100. They want something more liquid, maybe. Some really value that rarity aspect. Some prefer like more store of value that we will do with next, and some prefer this kind of product, which can get you a lot of yield, and you have this long duration of time aspect, etc., etc. So my point is, simplify this in everything you're doing, and try to learn the system and see the system that you're trying to interact with, and break it down for what it really is. Because these things can get very complicated very fast, but if you don't understand them, then don't interact with them until you do, basically. So there's also two other things, or try just a little bit. What the hell? There's also two other things in this, and to incentivize early behavior. And I'm not going to go through this now, because I think like this first part is already too much. You better like rewatch this video and nail that before you think about more stuff. But it's just basically a bonus, and I'm not sure. I think this is being discussed to remove it, etc. as well. So let's not cover it. But there's probably going to be some bonus to incentivize like early behavior, which is good. And then deployment. So if I understand it correctly, and Joe Blau will correct me, like they wrote the light paper, they've written the code, it's there, they're getting community feedback now, and they're iterating this process. Testnet is about to come very soon, so we're very excited about that. And then they will do an audit, and then they will launch. Q2, I say it's in almost 2 months. Could it be earlier or something like that? It will happen when it will happen. We don't know when the audit is done, of course, or when they're going to do it, or how long they want to iterate it. It's a simple protocol, but at the same time, it's something that might have a huge effect. So you want it to be, you rather take 1 or 2 weeks extra than rush it to market, and really like we did with Zen. And I'm not talking about these things, guys, because if you're deploying protocol, like we had a lot of benefit interacting with the community and getting feedback, and it made the protocol much better when you get all of that feedback and can iterate that and implement that, because it's all about creating something that users, real people, are going to interact with. So they want to do it, and they're going to do it 10 years from now as well. So 1 month here and there, it's not nothing in the big grand scope of things. So really, like, use this as a resource, use the hive mind to do it. Now, what about deployment? Now, we have to remember that Joe Blau is a Zen expert on all these different chains we're on. He's already interacted with all of them. So the plan is that they're going to deploy FENIX on all of the chains that we are on, which is very excited. So I think unless they say otherwise, that's to be expected. And this is what brings me to my next point. This is what's so cool with the synergies between Zen and FENIX, because FENIX gives utility for Zen, because you need Zen in order to participate in FENIX. FENIX makes Zen more valuable for every holder, basically. And then the exchange is that FENIX can use Zen's horizontal scaling. So whatever we do with Zen and wherever we scale, that's going to be of benefit for FENIX because they can reach a huge audience. Imagine if you just made a protocol and you're going to launch it yourself. Now they can absorb it into the ZenFi ecosystem and get that exposure and get that audience and get those users much easier. So if everything works out, I think the protocol deserves to be there 100%, because it's just an amazing protocol. So what I want to say next, some closing thoughts. It's a fantastic concept. I think FENIX is very interesting for many different reasons. Of many I've mentioned, it's trustless yield, transparent, first principles of crypto. Also, like the way they presented it. Let me show you. I need to show you guys because this is. Yeah, here. Look, this is like all what. Yeah, we got it. All what I did was they have all of this information in like it's not even like 3 pages. I really suggest you check the beginning of this video to get the link and read this. It might make a lot more sense how it works after you read this as well. But this is what I mean, guys. You don't need to make a like 10 page or like light paper that explains, like, remove as much words as possible. Less is more. Like, get to the point. This protocol is extremely powerful, and it's just like 3 pages of text that explains everything. Like, you get it right away. It's nice. It's fun to do diligence of it, and you need people to understand it. They removed everything that's not necessary, and then on top of this, it's just 186 lines of codes as well. So one chart here that explains everything as well. It's also part where I'm like presenting FENIX in the way I do, because I want people to feel that Zen is the creative space where you can your creativity can flow and you can do a lot of amazing stuff. So I want to do what I can to tell you my input of what I think makes sense if it's going to be evaluated and stuff like that. Of course, don't have time to read everything that comes true, but if you're presenting something in the way that FENIX has and you're living up to these principles, etc., we're of course very happy to talk about it and to analyze this, despite all the other million things that goes on. So that's what I wanted to say. And of course, I forgot one very important thing, because this is important, guys. Here's what you need to do now. So, formatting. There we go. I need to switch back. Just drink some water, guys. Do some push-ups. Have you done when's the last time you did push-ups today? Here. Now, like, if you like FENIX and want to interact with it, you need to go to the Telegram, FENIX protocol. And there you meet Joe and Johad and all the FENIXans. So and really do it, because like the better, the more energy, the more we like battle test this Wings Crypto. I do 100 push-ups every day. We want proof. You need to send us proof of push-up. I've seen you on I've seen you around on Twitter, I think. So everyone check now Wings of Crypto. If he doesn't do 100 push-up in the video, he's a father. He's a push-up father. I'm kidding. The way to do things, involve the community right away. But guys, let's give this a chance. Let's battle test this protocol. Let's see what it's made for, because I'm very excited about it for many different reasons. So go in there in that group. I want to talk about one more thing, and it comes to there's something called a pain curve. Okay, and what is the pain curve? The pain curve suggests that pain will inevitably come, no matter like what you do. If you concentrate on a task or whatever, the pain of it is going to come. However, you choose when it will come, but it will inevitably come. So let's say we're going to make a crypto. I want to make a crypto. Either we can just focus on the logo and all the nice and sweet stuff, which basically FENIX have done. The logo is super awesome. Big shout out to Johad for all of the graphics. However, they've done that on top of everything else. If you just focus on those things and don't pressure your idea for anything, the pain will inevitably come, and at one point it's going to be unbearable, and you're inevitably going to give up. Now, if you, on the other hand, expose yourself to the fire and expose yourself to the pain right away, and you deal with the fathers, and you just you're there every day, and you're just taking it, and you're being battle tested, and you're being beaten down, but you stand up the next day anyway. You're exposing yourself for that pain. It's needed for whatever you're doing, and what will happen is, after a while, you've asked yourself the big, hard questions or everything, so it's going to pan out and be easier. So when you do anything, you can choose one of these paths. And this is what we did with Zen Protocol. We made something, and then we faced the fire of everyone and all the FUD that we went through. It's part of the whole process, because the FUDers have a role in that they are having this critical mindset. So most of them, and the way to deal with that pain is to really try to see the system and to answer all of these questions. So this is what the framework that I used is built upon. So you can see now with FENIX, we asked, what is it? What problem is it trying to solve? Like we need to ask this question. How do I interact with it? Who are the founders? How does it relate to first principles? Where is the inspiration coming from? What are the tokenomics? What is the schematics? How does it look like? What's the user experience? How are they going to deploy it? So everything derives from these questions, but we need to, as Senians, be professional and be nice, of course, but we also need to be critical against everything we see and ask these tough questions for the sake of this protocol, if it's a creation that we want to see fit. So think about the pain curve, guys. It's crucial, it's horrible, but it's necessary. So yeah, prepare some questions, guys. I think I've talked forever as usual. How long has it been going for? 1 hour 20. Yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time. Let's see. I think will this be posted in the FENIX chat? Okay, I think I was referring to this. Lol, it's on my Twitter, my 6-pack picture. Lol. Okay, all right. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna Photoshop it with my head. I believe in you, Wings. Why y'all didn't tell me this was Sen University? I'm late to cast. Shake my head. All the college days unlocked. Professor said, "Yeah, this is your trap now, guys. That's the Zen effect. Once you get into this world, you can't get out. It's too interesting. Prisma's got to go. It's her sister's birthday. Prisma is a true Zen OG. She's been there from basically day one. Thanks you, Prisma. Can we use NFT and exchange for FENIX? I think it's only Liquid Zen that the protocol is allowing. Let's see. Not for that. Load up on all blockchain with cheap gas. Thank me later. Not financial advice. So here's the thing, guys. Gunin, another. Thank you very much. Another San OG. So here's the thing. Like, you gotta plan. Again, like everything that all these verticals that goes on top of Zen, even X1, it's not something that you should feel like. Zen is amazing in itself. It's the most fairly distributed token of all time. We made history with it, guys, in my opinion. It's an amazing product. All we're doing on top of this, including Next, including stake NFTs, including staking NFTs, including flash loans, including FENIX, including everything, is just going to give utility for Zen. And you see how fast we're growing, guys. We have an ecosystem now. We have things developing constantly in parallel. So this is just a start. We have Zen Turbo, and we have Zen Moon, and we have Zen.pub. We have all of these sites to analyze, to see the data, to see the systems. Will we have a FENIX calculator to calculate the estimated amount at the end of stake? Yes. That I'm 100% sure, because these guys are very sharp. They're going to give all kinds of tools. If you go to their Telegram, you can see the screenshots, the testnet. It looks absolutely amazing. They have a good eye for user experience. I'm going to finish my project by everybody. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna put Sensu on the map. He been hiding behind the scenes. I'm telling the world. Don't tell anyone. Tell people about Zen. It's the gateway crypto. Anyway, guys, ZenFi. ZenFi DeFi based on Perch principles is just an idea. Are you excited to make a DeFi world where we can swim around with our self-custody and exchange value? FENIX pays you to hold your own crypto. Big shout out. I wanna know. I hope Joe Blau and Yohad are seeing this. I want to talk to you guys. I want to bring you on here so you can tell me how right or how wrong I was, and then we want to dig further. So hopefully we can do that in a few days or something. Give everybody some time to check this and so on. We know it's a lot of information. Mischief, how you doing, buddy? How's it going down in New Z? So yeah, it's a lot. How you doing, Lakshmi? Good to see you. And Ryan Torres, he's a celebrity in the Sun space. How much percent of the total supply do you predict will burn out of all of these projects in 8 years? I'm more concerned that the supply won't be enough. That, like, it's an idea that constantly not enough, but we're in this hyperinflationary phase, and it gets harder and harder to mint every day. We're still like super early. We still have many years to come, but at the rate of adoption and the more utility that gets created for Zen. Like already now, like what are you going to do? Are you going to do long-term mints? Are you going to do short-term mints? Are you going to try to time FENIX? Everything is basically based on with early incentive rewards and stuff like that. We're deploying staking NFTs tomorrow, so you need some Zen for that if you want an early like rarity score. Yeah, and then we have Next, and we have X1. So the total supply, like just with one protocol, with Zen Torrent, we burned like, what is it? It's a 10% of the supply or something like that with just one protocol, and it's not finished. So Zen Torrent, it's like it's just a machine that just sits there and just constantly exposes people to the benefit of batch minting. And while they're doing so, they're getting exposed to the fact that you can, I have a rarity option here too that some will want to value and opt into. And it's just like like it's not something we have to do. It's just there. It's just burning. It's a burning machine that's working. So the yin yang effect, guys. Or gold percentage to burn? I'm not sure. Like, that's an interesting question. I don't know if we have like a goal of it. Here's the thing. Like, Zen has the burning function native to the protocol. So we need it to be hyperinflationary for years still, because we need it to be in the hands of so many people so it can be used. Like, just imagine right now, you try to do a crypto where you get it distributed to tens and hundreds of thousands of people within a few months. You need that virality. You need it to spread everywhere. But you can trust it, right? If you compare it to a fiat system, which is just you're holding it and they press a button and then they remove all the value of your money just by inflating it away. You might experience that it's super highly inflationary right now, but it's actually like working with an immutable inflating schedule. So it's disinflationary, and then we have all of this stuff goes on that just absorbs Zen for all of these different use cases. So yeah, guys, Mischief, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Also, Zen OG. Guys, it feels like forever we started, but it's just like a few months ago or something like that. What is it now? January. Yeah. Wow. Imagine in a year, what are we doing then? Over and out. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the Telegram. A lot is happening. Super fun. Have a good day, guys. I love you. Oh, Blue is here. Blue is here. When Blue is here, it's a good atmosphere. That's what I always say. I was so small. There we go. Goodbye, guys. See you in Telegram. Peace.